Hello folks, along with the first part of the new War Within expansion-wide meta achievement, Blizzard are also going a little back in time to add a meta achievement for Battle for Azeroth. But wait, didn't BFA already have a meta? Well, surprisingly, no, it didn't. It did have two major and somewhat notorious meta achievements for the 8.2 patch, one for Mechagon and one for Nazjatar, but it never had a meta achievement for the entire expansion. That is, until now. In patch 11.07, Blizzard are adding a Farewell to Arms, a brand new expansion-wide meta achievement for Battle for Azeroth, which will award a brand new mount, Janny's Trash Pile. This mount is based on the troll Lower Janny, and is one of the very few shape-shifting mounts in the game. And at least in the PTR, it has another unusual feature, which is that it will hold your weapons for you. Pretty cool, eh? Hopefully this makes it to live and it isn't just a bug. As you might imagine, given the scale of the Nazjatar and Mechagon achievements, which, yes, unfortunately are part of this is a pretty massive achievement to have to do. And that's despite Blizzard doing a couple of passes over it to reduce some of the more extreme asks. If you played Battle for Azeroth a lot, you may well end up pretty close to already completing it. But even then, there will probably still be some work to do. BFA was famous for its Horde and Alliance split, and that also applies to this meta, so do be aware that you will need both a Horde and an Alliance character in order to complete it, albeit the majority of the requirements can be done on one character. This video is not intended to be a detailed guide to the entire achievement. We would be still here watching it in the new year if I tried to go through everything, but I am going to give you a quick overview of what is included, focusing on the ones that may be more annoying or problematic to do, so at least you know what you're getting yourself into if you decide to chase it. First up is Uldir, Battle of the Zaralor, Crucible Storms, and the Eternal Palace. These are simple enough and ask you to complete the 4 raids of Battle for Azeroth in normal difficulty or higher. Oddly, Eternal Palace can also be done in LFR, but the other ones don't. I suspect that that's probably a bug and will be changed before things go live. Battle for Azeroth Dungeon Hero requires you to do all of the dungeons on heroic difficulty above. This achievement does not include the Mechagon Mecha Dungeon. That appears within the Mechagon Meta achievement separately. I'm an Island Time is a sub-meta to do the 8.0 world content for Battle for Azeroth. This also awards another mount, the Honeyback Hive Mother, a cool bee mount. This is broken down with a number of sub-metas for each of the 6 zones, and all of these require you to do the usual Adventurer and Treasures achievement. Adventurer requires you to do all of the rares for each of the zones, not just a selection of 10, as is the case in some of the later versions of these achievements. Thankfully, the BFA 8.0 rares did have some very fast respawn timers, so they're not as painful to do as many. And of course, the Treasures achievement is to find all of the one-time treasures, which again is fairly straightforward for the most part. I'm not going to go through every bit of the 8.0 achievements that you have to do to get this, but I will call out the more interesting or potentially troublesome ones. Lower Expectations is Horde only, and you have to go around and get all of the buffs that the different lore can give you. Some of these are gated behind parts of the Horde storyline, but you're going to have to do the Horde storyline for another part of the achievement anyway. Bow down to your masters is also Horde only. This requires you to bow to the lore, so this is a good one to do at the same time as you go around doing Lower Expectations. Get Hecked can be done by either faction, and after a short unlock questline with Janny, you basically have to go and collect a bunch of dropped items and do some little quests. And Raptari Rider is again Horde only, albeit this one is pretty easy to do. Moving on to Tiragarde Sound, and Bless the Rains down in Freehold requires the world quest Swap This to be up, which means there are going to be a bit of RNG involved in being able to do this. The achievement itself just involves flying on a parrot and dropping poop on the pirates below, so it's actually honestly kind of fun. Tearing Up the Dance Floor requires you to dance with another player in the Norwington estate, I'd personally advise doing this as soon as possible after the patch launches, when a lot of people are out there doing it, just to make it easier to get it out the way. For Nazmir, it's really getting out of hand requires the getting out of hand world quest to be up. So yep, more RNG there. And Revenge is best served speedily, which is Horde only, also requires a world quest, Revenge of Kragwar, to be up. And likewise, a most efficient Apocalypse needs cancel the Blood Troll Apocalypse world quest. And yep, that's also Horde only, that one. Clever use of mechanic explosives. This requires you to collect 25 Briarback quills from the Quillboat area in Stormsong Valley, then use those to buy a pug nose. Wearing it will give you a 15-minute buff, and with that buff, you then have to scavenge for an item called the Sporonite Bomb. Once you get it, you then have to find the Lichen King rear and use the bomb on the rear. Now, getting that bomb is extremely RNG, and there's no guarantee you will get it within the 15-minute period. Every day I'm truffling can also be done at the same time. For this, once you get the pug nose, then without using it, you want to go out hunting truffles until you get one each of the Magic, Violet and Valley truffles. Now you can use the nose and go hunting for the Turbo Truffle. Once you get it, you can use it along with the other 3. With any luck, you'll find the bomb in the same run, but just don't bank on it. Overall, these 2 achievements are probably going to be the ones that most people will find the most annoying to do, at least execution-wise. Let's Be Friends requires you to feed a bee called Bumbles with the Mildenhall growth formula. For this, you need to kill the Flowing Honey rares, get an item called the Annealed Honey Amulet, take that to an NPC in Borealis, take it to a beekeeper in Stormsong Valley, and then use it to feed the bee. This is Alliance only, and you need to feed the bee for 7 days. Vol'dun has 3 Horde only achievements: Champion of the Volpera, Scavenge like a Volpera, and Adept Sandfisher. Scavenge like a Volpera needs the world quest Volpera for a day to be up, and Adept Sandfisher needs the world quest Sandfishing. Finally, for Drustvar, Better, Faster, Stronger requires you to get 4 buffs within 5 minutes. The catch is that the items that give you the buffs are found in random locations around the area. This is much easier to do in a Feral Druid thanks to the combination of cat form, speed, and stealth. Along with the zone-specific achievements, Island Time also requires you to do the Lore Master of Kultiris and Zandalar, BFA Explorer achievements, and 100 world quests. Doing those 2 Lore Masters does require you have both the Horde and an Alliance character. Azerothian Diplomat requires you to get all of the faction reputations up to Exalted. The good news is that you only have to do the Alliance side or the Horde side reputations. You don't need to do both, which is just as well, as these are heavily time gated and are going to take you a hot while to complete. Okay, moving on to Expedition Leader. This is the Island Expedition achievement. This one has thankfully had some very hefty nerfs, and trust me, they were very much needed. The main issue with doing the Island Expeditions is the RNG upon RNG. There are 11 Island Expedition maps, but only 3 are available each week. And every time you queue for an island, you get a random one out of the 3. Add in that each island can be visited by different enemies, and they are also on a weekly rotation, and you can get quests which rotate, and well, you can see the issue with the RNG piling up here. Despite doing the island expeditions throughout BFA when they were current, and a bunch more to get all of the mounts later on, I never completed all of these achievements. So even with these nerfs, I have a suspicion they're going to be a bit of a pain if you haven't done the BFA content before. Island Conqueror requires you to do every map on Mythic difficulty. Fortunately, you can do the island solo now, so this one is just a waiting game for all of the maps to come around in the rotation. Azerite Admiral requires you to get 1 million Azerite. Now, don't worry, By the time you've completed all of the other achievements, I suspect you'll have capped this anyway. And Give Me Energy just requires that you kill 30 Azerite empowered enemies on the island. Those enemies glow, so they're quite easy to spot, and once you kill them, you just collect the glob of Azerite they leave behind. Tell Me a Tale requires you to do 15 of the special quests that can drop whenever you complete an island. Those drops are completely RNG, so it's good that this one has been nerfed down from requiring you to do all of them. Metal Detector asks you to get 100 Seafarer's doubloons. You get a few with every island, so honestly, this isn't one to worry about, as by the time you've completed all of the other island-related achievements, you're going to have more than 100. I'm Here for the Pets asks you to get 15 of the pets that can, yes, randomly drop from an island. You can also get them from the special chests that can be bought for Seafarer's doubloon from a vendor near Flynn, and those chests can significantly reduce the RNG. For Helping Hand, you find and rescue 15 of the explorers that show up, randomly on the island. This is basically just a bonus quest on the island that will pop up. Expert Expeditioner requires you to complete 50 islands in Mythic difficulty, and Team Deathmatch requires completing 15 of the opposite faction's champions. Now, one thing to be aware of, what they're talking about here are the NPC champions. There really is no PvP required for this. There was a separate PvP requirement in the achievement Island Slayer, but that has been removed. Yay! Maximum Effort is the War Campaign achievement. This used to have a number of Warfront related achievements, which would have been very painful to have to do, partly because Warfronts still require a minimum 10-man group, but also because some of those achievements would require you to actively complete against your own teammates to get the achievement. Imagine trying to have to do that kind of stuff at the start of 1107. Thankfully, that's all been removed. Now, all you have to do is to do one each of the two Warfronts. Again, this is going to be substantially easier to do in the early days of the new patch, when there will be likely tons of groups doing it. That's assuming the Warfront is up. Warfronts are on a cycle that takes about 2.5 weeks, and the Warfront itself is only available for about 1 week of that cycle. As well as that, all you now need to do is to rank up 5 of the BF8 mission table companions to max and do a bunch of missions. This will take a while of doing regular visits to the mission table, but it isn't super hard to do. And you also need to do each of the BF8 assaults. The assaults run on a 7 hours up, 12 hours down schedule and rotate through the zones, so it can take a while to find them all. Fortunately, Wowhead still has a schedule on the front page tracker tool. The good news is that there is no RNG with the assaults, so you can plan around them. The assaults themselves just require doing 4 world quests and then a little mini end scenario. The next thing up to mention is Undersea Usurper and Mechagon. These are the big 8.2 meta achievements, and these have been around for ages. Given that, I'm not going to go into them in any detail here, but do know that these were considered to be massive asks for players, and back when they were current, a lot of people bounced off them completely. That said, the Mechagon one did get some nerfs back in patch 9.15, and there are some new nerfs now which I will run you through. Junkyard Architect, which currently requires you to collect all of the tinkering blueprints, has been reduced to only require 30. These blueprints drop from lots of different sources, including rares, and many of them were a bit RNG, so this reduction I think will help a lot. And Outside Influences, which requires you to do all of the daily visitor quests, has been reduced to 15. Those visitors were on an RNG rotation, and notoriously they could go AWOL for weeks on end, so this I think will help quite considerably. Next up, Black Empire State of Mind. This requires that you do all 3 types of assaults in both Uldum and the Vale of Eternal Blossoms. The major Black Empire assault rotates between the 2 zones on a weekly basis, and the 2 minor assaults for each zone swap mid-week when the Black Empire assault is up. This does mean that it is possible to complete this in just 2 weeks. The more painful achievements to do are the ones to get exalted with the Rajani and Uldum Accord reputations. The zones do have dailies to help, and the assaults do reward reputation, but be prepared for quite a lot of weeks of the grind to get these up if you haven't done them before. Through the Depths of Vision is going to require you to complete both horrific visions in a 5-mask run. Now that is easy enough to do these days at max level with gear, but you're also going to have to rank your BFA Legendary Cloak up to level 15, which takes, if I'm recalling correctly, 13 weeks to do. And you're also going to have to earn nearly 70,000 corrupted mementos from running those visions to fully unlock the tech tree, which granted useful powers to complete them. Yeah, that's a lot of visions to do. Full Heart Can't Lose requires you to do a bunch of stuff related to the Heart of Azeroth. This does require you to get a Heart of Azeroth, but that's actually not too difficult, as it's part of the BFA unlocks that you need to do anyway in order to engage with a lot of the achievements. You also need to collect at least one rank 4 essence and use an essence of any rank in every slot of the neck. Note that there are 4 slots in total to fill up. This latter will require you ranking the heart up quite a lot, all the way to level 65, so it is going to take a little bit of a while, and you will need to find those 4 essences. The good news is that the Azerite system had a catch-up mechanism which very heavily nerfed what you need to level it all up. And if I recall correctly, as you do the campaign, Magnate will at one point boost your neck all the way to 45. Most likely doing all of the other stuff you need, especially those island and horrific visions runs, will get you what you need for your neck. If not, a combination of a few more islands and world quests will likely be the most efficient to top it off. One bit of good news is that the requirement to get every single essence has been removed, so there's no need to have to PvP anymore. Dress to Kill requires that you get 4 of the BFA appearance sets from a choice of 8. These sets can be obtained from doing either Uldir, the Stormguard Warfront, the Zaralor, the Darkshore Warfront, Eternal Palace, Season 3 PvP, Nyalosa, or Season 4 PvP. One thing to say is, well, how do you do the seasonal PvP stuff now? Well, the simple answer is you just collect Marks of Honor and you can buy the sets from the vendor, which means that if you do have some Marks of Honor left over, say from doing CompSom or something like that, it's actually not going to be too hard to get a couple of sets. And last, and certainly not hard to do, is to all the squirrels I set sail to sea. This just asks you to run around the zone, find a bunch of critters and slash love them. Pretty easy peasy stuff. Well, that's the new BFA meta. Well, I think that it will take quite a long time to do if you're starting from scratch. There's really nothing too nasty in it as long as you don't mind multi-layered RNG. So are you planning to have a go at getting the meta? Or did you do so much back in the day that you're expecting to just get this day one? Let me know down below. And if you found this format of video useful, then do let me and YouTube know by hitting the like icon. And also make sure to hit the subscribe button. And if you want to be notified when a new video goes live, also hit the bell icon. Subscribing is by far the best way to support my channel. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.